Hello and welcome to another week's edition of the Weekly Waller Review Show, and what a show it's going to be this week. Last week we had a fantastic week with Up and Rolling on the Wednesday.
Set a class record.
Class record, yeah. Do the owners know about that?
They sure do.
And on the Saturday we had two very good winners in Coming Through, resuming, making all.
He did a good job. It was a difficult day's racing at Ramwick with the very strong tailwind in the straight, and I think the jockeys were just as confused about everybody else and whether it would affect racing, whether it would suit front runners, but as it worked out it ended up being quite a leaders dominated day. So yeah, good return from Coming Through. He's certainly come back a much more mature horse this prep, and looking forward to training him en route to the Epsom the end of September.
And how did Winks resume?
Winks resumed differently. She just bombed the start, simple as that. She just had a head to the side and gave the attendants and Huey a hard time just as they were pushing the button. It was too late to straighten her up then, and she just sort of
Bunny
hopped out like a kangaroo and missed it by 5, and wasn't too concerned, but as I said before, it was just hard to make up ground, and Huey didn't panic. He sort of set her alight about the 500, but as they topped the rise, the likes of Fox Play and Ecuador were well on their way for home, so she did a great job and pulled off some amazing sectional times to win the race. I think 31.9 was about the last 600. I've never seen that. Before, obviously it was wind assisted, but even so, how fast was she going? It must have been a pretty quick gallop.
And how's she pulled up since then?
Pulled up really well, so very happy with that, and looking forward to 2 weeks' time in Chelmsford.
Okay, perfect. We'll head straight into Rosehill, where in race 2 we have a Woke carrying 61 kilos.
Yeah, it's a big weight, but there's two others on the 61 kilogram weight. There's a country horse down at 53. I guess you've got to respect it. It's run a couple of placings, I think, in highway races, but realistically a Woke is likely to start favourite and should prove hard to beat. Hugh Bowman rides. None of the other 61 horses are claiming, so that's a bit of a positive. And they've all got 57 or more except that bottom weighted horse. And she's well, she had a bit of a gap between runs, but did have a trial, which was a winning trial last Friday.
And we also have Gretna, who's also in racing today.
Yeah, we'll see how she goes Wednesday and then work out how she pulls up. We'll make a decision Saturday morning at the latest as to whether she can back up or not. It's a pretty easy race. Well, it's not a big race with a lot of depth. Obviously the stablemate of Woke's going to be hard to beat, but if she runs well today and pulls up well, I wouldn't be surprised to see her go around. Okay,
into race 4, we're very well represented with Vaucluse Bay, who's trialled since his disappointing last run.
Yeah, he seems to have trialled well. It's hard to get a gauge on the stays over those short trips, but I was happy with what I saw. He's pulled up well. Remarkably held on to his weight very well, so he's obviously coping, and he can bounce back. He'll be very hard to beat. We'll probably just ride him a little more conservative. Last start through there being no pace, I think he was outside the leader for the first part of the race on a very windy day. Today, on Saturday, we'll look at getting a bit of cover with him.
Okay, we have last start winner Allwood coming up from Melbourne, Hugh Bowman.
Yeah, it couldn't have been any more impressive in winning that first Australian win last start, and he cleared out and won impressively. So he came back to Rosehill a couple of days later. He settled in well. He's a pretty bomb-proof horse. He does everything right. He's no fuss. So be interesting to see how he progresses. He could be a lightweight chance in the Metrop if he keeps progressing, but probably running out a bit of time. You'd need to keep winning to be able to keep that dream alive.
Okay, and we also have the unbeaten Chatelard, Barrier 1, Blake Shin.
Yeah, it goes for 4 from 4 on Saturday. Yeah, good draw. He'll get a lovely run. We keep saying he'll probably go to the paddock after each run, but he keeps coming through each race really well. So each time he goes to races, we're lifting the bar. He said everything go his way in his races, but in saying that, that's what winners do. They just keep improving, and they make things look easy, and he's certainly doing that. So certainly will be hard to beat again on Saturday, but I do respect it as a stronger grade.
Okay, we also have quick defence, barrier 8, Brenton Abdullah.
Yeah, well, he was beaten by Shadlard last start, but this was the horse to follow from the race. He hasn't had a lot of luck through bad draws, racing style, but now we've found a racing style for him that he gets back and finishes off. He's certainly racing well, so I think the big track, the extra 100 metres, and the possibility of just being a pair closer should see him hard to beat down the weights.
Okay, into race 5 we have Hipparchus Corey Brown on the minimum.
Yeah, he needs to improve to win, but he hasn't had much luck his 2 runs in Melbourne. I think he'll appreciate coming up here, a change of scenery, and also the lightweight on his back. He's a better horse than his form would suggest, and he's not going too bad.
Okay, heading into the Ming Dynasty, we have Sambro, with only a 10-point spread for the race.
Yeah, 57 kilos. He's obviously one of the leading chances. There's a couple of unbeaten horses there, or at least one. Look, his Brisbane form in the winter was pretty good. He ran 5th in a Group 1, but he had to lead them up and did it the hard way from a very wide draw. So there was certainly merit in that Group 1 performance, and as a result he seems to have come back and strengthened up well, and I think he'll race well. It'll be very hard to beat, but I'd say once he gets up over a mile he'll even be better.
Okay, into race 8 we have Hogmanay claiming 3 kilos off the 62 big weight.
Yeah, Lee McGorian's aboard. He did a great job on Life Less Ordinary last Saturday, almost beating coming through. So yeah, he rides this horse. Getting the weight off I think is a big plus. You can go 1.5 kilos, but is 1.5 kilos really worth it against the likes of Hugh Bowman's and the Blake Shins and etc. So I'm happy to go with 3 because it's a significant difference. This horse seems pretty straightforward. He's been ridden by apprentices for a lot of his starts and responded well. James Innes is out with an injury, so he couldn't ride him. So it seems logical to put the stable apprentice on. I'd like to see him jump a bit better. He was tardily away last start and it cost him winning. But from a good draw, if he can begin, he'll be very hard to beat.
And we also have Regal Monarch just resuming.
Yeah, I'd say he'll need a run or 2 and need further. He found form in running 2nd. Last preparation over 2400. Prior to that his form was very, very moderate. So I'm expecting him to improve with further.
Okay, into the last we have Sabacus Hugh Bowman, barrier 4.
Yeah,
long time between runs.
It is. He's a really hard horse to train, but I think we're starting to get on top of him now. So distance probably a touch short 1200, but good jockey and Hugh Bowman aboard will keep his mind on the job. Hopefully have him in contention turning for home and see how he can finish off. His normal finish is very strong, but it's been a few starts since we've seen his best form.
Okay, we've also got a couple of runners down at Moonee Valley. In race 2 we have a Rachel, barrier 6, 54 kilos, Dwayne Dunn.
Yeah, last start I think we just rode her a bit close, and over the 1400 she struggled to see it out. She drops back to 1200 where I ride her conservatively from the good barrier, which I think will see her settle in the midfield position and finish off well. She went to Moonee Valley on Tuesday morning and got round it well.
Okay, we also have in race 4 Jaminza going for 3 in a row.
Yeah, he's been a model of consistency this preparation, and he's drawn a little bit awkward, and obviously Moonee Valley's a lot different to Flemington where his last 2 wins have come from. Had he drawn a bit better I would have still been confident, because despite it being a short straight they normally get rolling into it from a long way out, and that good camber at the Valley seems to help horses win from anywhere. So now that he's drawn quite wide, we will give some consideration as to whether to actually save him and bring him up to Sydney for next Saturday's Randwick meeting.
Okay, we head up to the Gold Coast now where we've got Hollywood Bound, barrier 1, 54 kilos.
Yeah, he won't know himself with a light weight on again. It's a slightly stronger grade. He's drawn 1. He likes to get out and rolling. That's the only negative about the draw. The instructions to Larry will simply make him jump, get him to switch off from the half mile, start looking to get out and see how he finishes off from there.
Okay, and finally race 7, Calissimo heading back up to the Gold Coast where she's won 2 before.
And what's she drawn?
And she's drawn barrier 8 in a field of 11.
Barrier
Michael Caden.
11. Yeah, look, she won her 2 races in Queensland and has been disappointing in Sydney, so we're simply going to take her back up there. She's lost all confidence and races sort of very fiercely. We need to get her to switch off, hence the reason for bringing her back in distance. I'd be reluctant to fire her up. I'd just like to see her switch off and relax. And if she does relax, then maybe she can return to her best form. But she needs to just change a few things around.
Okay. Well, that's a wrap, folks. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.